at least as it pertains to breaking the grade. John and I are happy to be here. We are here to talk about, or some topics we may touch on, slow burn methods in the education space, football and the playoffs. As John and I were backstage, he used his inhaler. So we might touch on asthma because both of us have that. That's another thing we have in common. But we're really here to talk about the slow burn methods. So, John, welcome to our version of 2025. How are you, and how have things been since we last spoke, at least in this capacity?
So doing great. Happy New Year, everyone. And to you, Josh, just a quick, 2024 was awesome. This show, this partnership, this collaboration is incredible. And I'm just so fired up for 2025. There's a lot happening, a lot of really great things I kind of teased out on social media that are underway at Penn GSE. And a lot of this is not possible without the support of our partners, you included, both as a personal partner and as a professional partner. So thank you for that. I'll also just kind of lead in just a moment of thoughts and prayers for all our friends in Southern California. Yeah. I have a lot of very good friends who have lost their home, and family members who are in the process of, do I evacuate? Do I not evacuate? And it's just another, shared with someone earlier, version of force majeure, an act of God that just all of a sudden comes into our lives, and we've got to deal with it. And I'm just so touched and just emotional about what a lot of my friends and family members are going through. So if you're out there, you're going through it, you have family members or friends going through it, reach out to me and we'll talk through it. But happy 2020, 2025, and let's get down to it.
Yeah. Before we get down to it, I'll say that, I split my time between DC and our small town here in Mexico. And there's a lot of people from California who live here. So I've talked to them about this. And of course, lots of different social media feeds of theirs are offering support. I've reached out to our friend Ernie Delgado, who's a friend of this show, to see what we can do. So yeah, it looks really tough. And hopefully, if you are there, if this can be a distraction, that's great. If you are at our show now, and I see Katie Kavanaugh is with us now and is a kid of asthma as well, let us know. Katie, welcome in. Katie's going to join our next cohort for the Ed Sales Elevation Experience. Super excited to have her.
Perfect fit.
Perfect fit. It's getting warmer here as the sun comes up, so I'm going to take off my chaleco, my vest here.
16-degree wind chill factor here in Philly. So as you're taking your jacket off and thinking about the San Miguel Allende weather, think about us here in North Philly.
I'm always thinking about you and Philadelphia for all types of different reasons. And hopefully our mutual friend Paul King can join us, and he can throw more Philly stuff our way. I talked to him earlier today. So today we're here to talk about slow burn methods. Okay, you and I, as everybody knows, are very positive people, and maybe sometimes our significant others would say to a fault. So I kind of hate to start 2025 off on a negative note, but we're going to highlight very early on some of the slow burn methods that a lot of folks experience. And Paul King mentioned it today in the education space. I'm sure Katie has been there for been there as well. I'm going to define what a slow burn method is first, and I'm going to read it. Slow burn methods are those strategies that require a significant investment of time and resources before you see any real return. They're like planting a seed that eventually grows into a mighty oak tree, but it takes time and patience and consistent nurturing. So, can you react to that definition and put yourselves in the shoes of a company that is just trying to get some traction and they're relying on slow burn methods, and why that doesn't work?
I mean, everybody has to figure out the methods that are going to work for them. And I, I agree with that definition of the slow burn method. I agree that everybody in ed tech right now is really thinking about how do I compress that contact to contract? How do I go from 7 calls to a 2-3 call close? And it does take a lot of perseverance and resilience and grit to get it right. I don't think there's a secret sauce. I don't think that there's one method. I don't think that there's one way. I think you've got to use some fundamentals and some principles that we've already talked about on the show that we can talk about a little bit further today. But no silver bullets here. You know, it really does come down to knowing your signature solution, knowing how your solution aligns with the pain points of that school district or that school, and being able to convey how it aligns and how it will ease pain in a measurable way. Get
Yeah,
those 3 done. I think it's a good formula for success.
absolutely. Welcome in, Harry, to our show. Nice to see you. John, you used we're 6 minutes into having this conversation in 2025, and this is my first kind of, I never heard him say that moment of the year. I don't think I've heard contact to contract.
Yeah.
And I like that. And yes, it's tough to compress that. And I also think that there's an energy that you have to take on, that you're not trying to compress the contact to contract, because when you push and the other side feels that, subconsciously or consciously, they're going to move away, and that's going to make it harder for you to get to that contract phase. So have you yourself experienced, or are you coaching others to really just chill, knowing that you
So,
need to get there?
so the question is, watch your energy, and absolutely, Josh, 100% got to be thread that needle between urgency, immediacy, and nudgy. And so absolutely, and there's an art to that. Contact to contract, I can say, in working with the usual suspects, the rethinks, the learns, the new markets, the learn launches, the generate, those that are investing in ed tech, and it was another tough year, have contact to contract in their due diligence process. They will ask, tell us your last 10 customers. What was the value of those customers in terms of the annual or the monthly, mostly annual ARR contracts, and how long did it take from contact to contract to get that closed? What was the period of time? How many people did you have to talk to? And what was the formula for compressing that? I like to think, and representing that community, 3 months, 90 days is a pretty good expectation for your typical ed tech solution when you're selling into a district, to expect in terms of contact to contract. And 2 to 3 calls with the right decision makers or the right decision making team.
Interesting. This just kind of shows that I've been out of that it shows why we work so well together, because we're working with similar people, but we're looking at this from different prisms. The last time I really spent a lot of time with investors was when I sold my second company. And I always say, and this is no knock on investors, but trying to sell my company felt like getting sued. And I have been sued once, and that's a whole other story for a whole other bar. So I didn't know that they necessarily asked that particular question of, tell us how long it takes to go from contact to contract. That's interesting. They want to know that.
Tell me about my favorite tequila bar on earth that you and I visited, where we had these kinds of conversations.
They're all still wonderful and sunny and waiting.
The one around the corner from your home.
Manantial, baby.
Oh,
They're waiting for
the
you.
best.
The best.
Anyway, I got
Sorry.
distracted. I gotta come
My
back.
bad.
Yes, contact to contract. How many calls before we get a close, and then what's the formula for compressing that? Another two quick tricks of the trade that I think are important to convey here for the audience and for our group. One is, and again, this gets into urgency and nudgy, but really being able to convey a personal story related to what their dynamic is and what they're looking for in terms of purchasing things that are going to create value within the district. That's one. So you really have to be able to personalize and convey an understanding of that without sticking your chest out and saying, oh, I know more about the district than you do. Show that you've done the homework, be humble with that knowledge, be able to communicate it clearly, and align that knowledge with the solution that you're able to provide. And again, it doesn't hurt if you're three things: super engaging, pedagogically aligned, and easy to implement. Those research says those are the three things in ed tech that if you do those three things well, engaging, pedagogically aligned, we talked about this, and easy to implement, you're on the right track. That's one. Personalize, communicate how your solution aligns with their pain points in the community by which you're selling your product in. The other thing, and I've been thinking a lot about this since our break and bringing a lot of this into our coaching, is, and this is an interesting one. I haven't heard this one too much, and I'm kind of want to run with it and play with it. Stay in customer discovery mode while you are selling. Stay in customer discovery mode while you are saying. So in many episodes in the past, Josh, and I want you to react to this one, we talk about get your customer discovery done, your go-to-market strategy in place, and then go sell. I like to say when you're in a sales mode, when you're in a sales call, be customer discovery oriented. And what does that mean? The question becomes, tell me a story to your prospect about the last time you tried to implement high impact tutoring. Tell me a story, Katie Cavanaugh, about the last time that you implemented an immersive experience-based learning solution. And let them talk about that. What was the hardest part of implementing high impact tutoring? Experiential learning, VR, AR. Oh, it was really difficult because the high impact tutors that we brought in didn't know how to align to iReady. Oh, I have a high impact tutoring solution that integrates third prong, right? Easy to implement, integrates with the curriculum. How do you solve that now? Well, I gave up. I don't think anybody can do that well. Now you're like, oh gosh, I can't wait to talk to them. Why is Screen 360 awesome?
Right.
So now you've set up, tell me a story. What was the hardest part about it? Why was it hard? How do you now currently solve it? And then you're ready to respond with, let me tell you about a solution that we've developed that is research-based, super engaging, the kids love, and easy to implement in less than 1 hour. That's a formula.
That's an absolute formula. And we've skipped over two key parts. First of all, I'm gonna rip through the slow burn methods, but I'm gonna respond to what you said there. I have students through the Ed Sales Elevation Experience who are going through the Raise Your Hand campaign, which is designed to help them listen and connect the dots. And this is a method that I started in 2008. And I always tell people, you and I think are perfecting it through conversations like this. We have students who they graduate from the Ed Sales Elevation Experience 12 weeks later, and I'm ready to help them, scale lead generation, and we can send X amount of emails, and we can do this on LinkedIn. And they say, no, thanks. I'm just going to stick with the Raise Your Hand campaign because it just felt so natural. So to your point, I think a lot of people are staying in that mode because it does feel so good to just ask questions. It also can feel pretty awkward. I'm happy to call him out because he's got super thick skin. There's a guy named Neil who I've known since 2008. You may know him, Neil Seltzer, got a memorable last name, good dude, been in the tutoring space. And he's going through kind of the Raise Your Hand campaign right now. And he's like, man, I've been doing this for 30 years And I'm kind of worried and wondering, you just want me to like listen to them? Shouldn't I just tell them how I can help? I'm like, no, that will come. So I think that that is the way it should be done. And it's a little bit easier said than done, but I'm glad that you're saying it. And while we are saying that, before we get to the um, slow burn methods, because you are really showing off your chops here, let's talk about Catapult. QR code is up.
Yeah. Catapult. Yeah, so we have over 1,000 members now in Catapult General membership. We have close to 100 in advanced membership, and it basically connects education entrepreneurs to learning resources, strategic advisors, academic researchers, and classroom practitioners in this entrepreneurial community of practice. It's 100% virtual. Advanced membership is $399. You get an assessment of your business, and then you get connected to mentors in the areas of leadership, product, market, and finance. And 4 to 6 months, it really makes a difference in terms of adding some muscle to a lot of the work that you're doing with your clients, Josh, but really kind of creating a framework and some guardrails to be able to put a lot of these principles and practices that we talk about on this show in action.
Ding, ding, ding. Somebody scanned the QR code for you. So this might be the right time for me to do this.
Like that. Keep going. What other one are you going to play? I know you're going to play the other one.
Yeah, baby.
You play that one longer?
It's better. It's better. You know that. But yeah, football, baby.
Wait. Aren't you in branding a little bit? You're going to put the Redskins. I never heard it. Who's the Redskins?
If I had,
will they always be the Redskins?
To me, yes, but I don't mind if they are not the Redskins going forward. I think that the logo will come back as it should. It should never have gone away, but the name can and should change. I'm not attached to the name if we want to go down that path. But let's talk about slow burn methods, okay? And I want to go over what they are. Okay, first, and then you can react to them. Conferences and networking events. These things are valuable. These things are valuable for building relationships. And the problem is, though, they can be very expensive. They can be very time consuming. And you spend all this time super, super focused at an event. And then you take all these business cards, and then you got to get back to your business, back to your desk, get organized, focused on your business again, and talk to all those people who, unfortunately, you were one of hundreds that they met. Conferences are tough. Social media, okay, it's time consuming in the sense that you really got to be consistent with it. We teach using LinkedIn kind of and think of it as going to the gym. You can't just go to the gym every other week and expect to see results. So by going and doing LinkedIn 2-3 times a week, joining conversations that are happening, leading conversations when you're ready, you're going to see some of those results. But just posting once in a while and or posting all the time but not being on message, slow burn. Paid ads. I hear this all the time. Oh, I spent $5 a day for 6 months. Well, I'm not a mathematician. Doesn't matter what the amount is. If you got nothing out of it, it's worth nothing. And you spent time. And somebody had to manage those. So if you're not understanding how you can help, if you're not reaching the right audience, Facebook, that is a slow burn method. SEO. Go out and find Paul Skirby. You and I know Paul Skirby. Look him up. He's the best in the business when it comes to SEO. But Paul takes time, as he should. Paul charges a good amount of money, as he should, for his work. He's very effective. That takes time. Blogging. People tell me all the time, oh, I blog. Really? Does anybody read it? Well, I'm not sure. Okay. Well, what's the messaging? Where's it getting out to? So don't just blog to blog. And then my favorite, cold emailing. Because I talk to people and they say, you know, I bought a list for $100 and it was 10,000 people in the education space. I'm like, really? Wow. Did you run that list through kind of a verify, platform? No, I just started sending emails from my email address. Ah, cool. Did you send it from your main email address? Like the one you emailed me from? Yeah, of course. Where else? Well, that's really bad because there are people who sit at central school district waiting for your emails and to mark them as spam, which will hurt your domain reputation. So I'm not even getting into the art side of cold emailing, which is the messaging, which should be about 2 or 3 sentences and don't use the words free and things like that. So cold emailing not only is a slow burn method, but it can actually be the death of your domain. So those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slow burn methods. Which one was a culprit of your business?
I could go through each one of them and comment on it. I want to be careful because I don't want to say conference is good or bad, social media good or bad. I want to say in all of those methods, how do you maximize the good and neutralize the bad? Conferences, 100% with you. Go there, get a booth, spend a lot of money, hand out a lot of cards. Hope that through quantity, not quality, interactions that you get some leads and that you can convert them. As you know, what I coach my mentees on is identify a conference schedule over the course of a year. Say there's 10, 12, 15 you want to go to. Which of those, find 3 where you can send an advanced proposal to be a speaker there, to add value to the conference instead of the conference adding value to you. So when you go to that conference, you have a chance to A, get in for free, B, have a speaker badge, which gives you instant credibility that you're not there to sell, you're there to influence, and give a kick butt like you did, Josh, at the Penn GSE Innovation Summit, a kick-ass presentation that provides value and creates an audience who come up to you afterward and said, tell me more. I want to learn more about experiential learning using high-profile media or independent film. So find those conferences who would say, you could run a breakout session and come to theirs. So there's where I said conference is not bad unless you think or you're expecting to go to ASU GSV and walk out of there with 10 clients. That's number one. The second one, this is an interesting one. Social media advertising or social media promotions. I'm very much with Jackie J, our marketing director at Penn GSE, very much into being maniacal about design. Take the time to differentiate yourself with good, minimalist, great graphic design. Don't just say, I'm going to do social media and fart it up there and blow it up there and think that it'll get. Make sure that the messaging is accurate. Make sure that the tone, the messaging, the way that the visual vocabulary of those social media cards and ads are really telling the right story to maximize your chance that it will be get attention. So crappy, vanilla, throw it up there, social media, no. High quality, intentional social media, yes. Final comment, because you had 6, I'll do a third one. Paid media. This is a big one for me, and I've learned a lot of lessons about advanced membership with Catapult. I've tried to put myself in the shoes of Katie Kavanaugh and some of those who are trying to get leads with advanced membership. And I had a small budget for a paid media campaign. I got a lot of impressions, I got a lot of clicks, and I got a limited amount of conversions. Sound familiar, Josh? Why? First of all, get your fundamentals right. All your pixels, all your tracking, make sure that you're seeing which are the ads and which are the landing page links that are getting the most attention, getting the most action, getting the most clicks. And then let's build on that. You know what happened in our campaign? The moment that because I was like, you can't put too much information into an ad, into a landing page, or you're going to confuse the audience, because our accelerator isn't what a normal accelerator is. But if I had to explain the differences between our accelerator and Learn Launch or Start Ed or some of the others that are out there, I would lose them because there was too much information. So I simply said, click here to have a consultation, straight to a Calendly, and it filled up. And people took the time to come and learn about the features and benefits of our advanced membership program, and I was able to convert that way. So in each of those examples, it's not a yes conferences, no conferences, yes social media, no social media, yes paid media, no. It's how do you do it intentionally to maximize your chances of success?
100% agree. And we did that exercise when it comes to conferences together. We did that, I think, in November. So we're practicing what we preach here in terms of looking at conferences where we could bring value. What I'm trying to figure out how to say this, but I think there are a few silver bullets that can amplify your success at any of the slow burn methods. And they are messaging. If your messaging is on, whether it's an ad or it's a post or being at a conference, you're going to be more successful. If you're clear, whether it's your design, and you and I agree in design principles, simplicity is good. Whether you're clear in how you can benefit your ideal client, you're going to have more success and turn that slow burn method into a success amplifier. If you have the confidence that you can help somebody, you are not going to feel like you're selling, and you're going to be able to approach them with your hand out and say, I help who, using what method, get which results, very clearly. So I am absolutely with you. You know, I'm always, when I start talking about conferences, I'm not absolutely not dumping on ASU GSV or the event we're going to June 5th for Penn. It's just that I always urge people, especially if you haven't necessarily been through the Ed Sales Elevation Experience, there's the QR code. Some of those slow burn methods are going to continue to burn you. And you will be burned less or not burned at all when you understand exactly who you're approaching in the K-12 space. Is it the principal? Is it the superintendent? Is it a teacher? When you've built out your credibility in LinkedIn and you really know how you can help folks, when your signature solution is at V12 because we've been working on it, you know, and your signature solution is, you know, clearly how you can help somebody. When you've tested your messaging over and over and over again, when you do those things, you can flip slow burn methods to success amplifiers.
100%. I think that's all well said. And I think it's about being creative inside of all of those potential outlets, being creative, being methodical. And I don't want to just throw out platitudes, be creative. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You're at a conference and somebody approaches you and you're in a booth or you're in a meeting. What about saying, hey, there's a social event at ERDI over at that restaurant at 7:00. I have an invitation. Would you like to go with me? Now you have 15, 20 minutes to walk with them there and tell them a little bit more about your solution. Tell them a little bit more about how you approach what you're doing in the space and how you can help solve a pain point for them. And you're adding a little bit of value because that person may not have been invited to that event and they can be your plus one. That's just one example. Just be creative, be strategic, be insightful, and don't just phone it in. I like how I like the term success amplifier. I think that's a great way of conveying how to be more intentional with some of these slow burn methods.
Paul King and I were talking earlier today. I guess he's got one of those names you have to say both of them, kind of like John Gamba. Paul King and I were talking about kind of picturing ourselves at a baseball game, talking to a decision maker, maybe a superintendent, and you've bought that person because you're a good person a beer and a hot dog. Enjoy that beer and that hot dog with them, and see where it goes. As opposed to,
Yeah.
before I buy the beer and the dogs, let me really tell you more about me and the features of our program. So think beer, hot dog first. To your point, take the walk and see where that goes. It's a journey. It's really a journey. And that conversation that you have is not an onboarding conversation. You know how you can help them, but you have to listen to how they want to be helped. And unfortunately, I think that is missed.
100%. Again, not to get personal, is first session, first show of 2025. When I brought up the tequila bar around the corner from your house, I'm not talking about getting hammered. I'm 54, second half of life. I'm not. Those days are all. It's about having, like you said, intimate conversations, and I don't mean inappropriate, but I mean really getting to the bottom of what makes the three tick. Josh, what are you trying to get out of this as a two-time exited founder who's trying to help people? What is your measures of success? What are your fears, uncertainties, and doubts? How can I help? Those are the kind of conversations that lead to something real. And before you know it, you're having conversations from the couple from New Zealand to
Yeah,
the left, and you find a superintendent from Germany to the right, and you're off and running. So when you walk that person at ASU GSB to that party as your plus one, and then you get in there, enjoy that time, and then maybe pull somebody else in that you noticed. Have you met Katie Kavanaugh from Screen 360 TV? Have you met Ernie Delgado, who runs an incredible ed tech conference in Southern California? Back to the age-old rule of be interested, not interesting. And I think that'll go a long way in promoting some of these principles.
absolutely. So I think it's interesting. We're going to kind of maybe we can one of let me say this here. One of the things that I've thought about, and you're helping me to remember, is that the slow burn methods aren't necessarily bad at all. They just take time. So maybe we can think about
Yeah.
a balance.
Optimization.
Optimization, yes. Let's think about a balanced approach. Maybe you can do both. Okay. And I'm reminded by something my coach Tony says. The slow burn methods are really potentially farming methods. And there's also hunting methods. So the farming is, really taking time to do SEO the right way. You have to invest, you have to nurture. A hunting method would be, making sure that your credibility is built out. You're continuously working on that in LinkedIn, and then reaching out to some people in a very comfortable way and saying, hey, I'd love to get to know you. I'd like to listen to what your challenges are as the superintendent or as this teacher. So it's kind of maybe finding a balance between hunting and farming. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's very well said. That's exactly how you should be approaching it. And going back a little bit, yeah, I don't think slow burn methods are bad. I think they do take time. Imagine if somebody says conferences, social media, paid media, SEO, blogging, and they don't do any of it. They just said none of it works. Then they'll be sitting in their house, looking in a mirror, talking about how great they are.
Yeah.
And what's the power of that? So pick your battles and try to figure out how you can optimize and how you can really you find balance in some of those initiatives that'll get you on the quickest path to a compressed contact contract.
Great. Let's talk about the road ahead of 2025. Speaking of conferences, any of them that you want to highlight that you'll be at? I can take the baton. My conference schedule is less full compared to the great John Gamba, but why don't you take the lead first?
So I'm scheduled for IFE, but with the challenges. IFE is the EdTech conference in Monterrey, Mexico, where I am speaking and moderating a really cool panel. Met a lot of Latin American founders there last year and just have a really good partnership with Monterrey. 50-50 there with what's going on SoCal. ERDI, an institute that meets twice a year, Education Research and Development Institute, definitely will be there in February in Palm Springs as a strategic advisor, someone who's gone to that institute for 20 plus years. If anybody has any insight or interest in learning more about ERDI, reach out to me, DM me offline. It's a great institute, not so much a conference. South by Southwest EDU, love it. Small, kind of a baby ASU GSV, really good crowd. I'll be managing a Shark Tank or overseeing a Shark Tank and doing a breakout with some entrepreneurs on lessons learned on my entrepreneurial journey. ASU GSV, of course. Then we start going into the summer and fall, which gets into our June 5th, stay tuned, Innovation Summit on campus at Penn GSE, which will be super exciting. June 5th, our Education Innovation Summit. And then we move into Holland IQ in September with our Milken Penn GSE EBPC finals. And then I hinted that there are going to be some announcements, and I'll hint it here. I will be teaching youth entrepreneurship in a new program in Toledo, Spain, and Singapore later this year, which will be very, very exciting, all affiliated with Penn GSE, teaching a lot of these principles on entrepreneurship and social impact to young students worldwide.
Lucky them, lucky you. Your your dance card kind of looks like mine. Funny. I could, see you in Monterrey again. We had a great conference last time. That's a quick hop from where I am right now.
Bullfighting, man.
Yeah,
Bullfighting.
We did that. Oh, we didn't get fought, but we saw some interesting things. I'm learning more about ERDI. Certainly something that people should reach out to you about. And a few of our clients of the EdTels Elevation Experience have been through ERDI, and David Dworkin tells a game-changing story about
who will be there.
Yeah, he and I are texting about that game-changing story about the combination of you and me, his signature solution, and ERDI, and how it changed his business. I'm looking at South by Southwest. ASU GSV, I've done nothing against it. Just might try a different flavor. Can't wait for June 5th at Penn. Such a great conference last year. Love the format. Very compressed in a great way. And then I'll see you in the fall at Milken Penn GSE. And we're figuring out my role there, which will be more than it was last year. And I'm excited for that. And so catch us if you can in 2025. And if you can't find us, we might be at Manantial in Centro, near Montes de Oca in San Miguel de Allende.
Almost didn't leave.
Our daughter Camila would be happy to have you. She's a good kid.
She's awesome. She just finished all the Harry Potters.
She finishes books. She just eats them up. Yeah. And I'm glad that she emails you. That's something that we practice. Speaking of practices, I ask her every Sunday. I think you and I grew up making phone calls, and most people check in via email. So we're working on that empathy. So I want to close on an empathetic note. To again the people in Southern California. It sounds like a really tough time. The videos are almost hard to process. So if you have anything you want to add to that, John, please do. Otherwise, we'll kind of hop out here at 40 minutes. But take the mic here.
Yeah, there's just thoughts and prayers are with everyone. Losing your house, losing your belongings, being displaced. it's just really, really tough. And, we're not out of the woods. I saw somewhere 0% contained, and that's just crazy. The winds seem to be dying down a little bit today, and then they're supposed to be up to 50, 60 miles an hour by tonight. But we saw some of the helicopters out there and some of the planes dropping water and fighting this hard. It really makes you respect the first responders and thank them when you walk past a firehouse or a police station, because they're working absolutely overtime. And we'll just continue to keep our friends and colleagues and family members in our heart, and hopefully we walk.
Yeah, the good vibes are always important. And as you were saying it, one thing I was thinking that we could absolutely do is people who are running businesses that we potentially can help, who are in Southern California, like Ernie, might lose power, or they're going to experience a disruption in their business. So we're always there to help. But if you are going to experience a disruption in your business, or you need some help, we're happy to help on a personal level and, of course, on a professional level. So feel free to reach out to us via LinkedIn or email. We will get back to you. John and I are very good at getting back to people. Mamoon, nice to see you, my man. Hope you are well. He's, I'm sure, sending his thoughts and prayers from across the world as well. So we are here for everybody. It's 2025. Happy to be here, asthma and all, for both of us. But we're thinking about the folks in California, and you'll be back in 2 weeks, John. And hopefully I'll see you soon if the worlds align in Monterrey, Mexico.
Onward and upward, everyone. It's great to be here, Josh. Great to see you. Happy 2025,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.